Her fiancé, whom she met for the first time today, was truly beautiful. The guy introduced himself by saying his name was Lucian. Everyone was amazed by his beauty and couldn't say a word. He was so colorful. The girl was confused, but her fiancé took her out of her thoughts and told her to introduce herself. She curtsied and said her name was Farania. He was sorry he had only now come to meet her. The incessant war had made it difficult to return to her homeland. Farania replied that everything was fine and smiled sweetly at him. Everything is fine because he is the one who led the empire to victory. The hero of the empire, Lord Lucian. The one the emperor recognized as her fiancé 2 years ago. Madly in love with the protagonist who went mad and destroyed half the empire. A minor protagonist. The novel she was reading was called Saint Estelle. Apparently being a saint isn't enough. So the main character has too much glamour. All the handsome men in the novel lost their heads over her, including Lucian, the hero of the empire. How boring. Why does a man who chops people into little pieces on the battlefield shudder at the sight of a saint? But even so, she liked the second main character, Lucian, better than the main character, Crown Prince. And now she's in the body of the bride who will make the secondary protagonist lose his head and kill Lucian with his own hands. He loved the saint since childhood, but could not bring himself to confess because he was born with red eyes. Since ancient times, red eyes were believed to be the demon's curse. While still young, he was knighted, and his merits on the battlefield were incredible. But people still whispered behind his back that he had borrowed the power of demons, which is why he avoided the Holy One. Lucian thought it was a great sin for such a cursed man to even admire her. He put up with his desires to get close to her, but when he found out that Saint and the prince loved each other, all his suppressed feelings came out. But no matter how sincerely he expressed his feelings, no matter how many tears he shed, the saint would not accept his love, because she had already given her heart to another man. Lucian was overcome with deep sadness and fierce jealousy, and then to his surprise, demonic powers awakened in him. He lost his senses, and all those who hindered and hurt him and insulted him fled and killed him. Among them was his fiancée Farania, who hid her contempt for him. He's a bomb with a demon inside. She wants to break the engagement immediately, but that's impossible, because the engagement was arranged by the emperor, and that's why he's here now. Awkwardly, she can't believe the man in front of her is a ticking time bomb. With a face like that, he's clearly not of this world. Farania noticed a cut on Lucian's neck and stood up from the table confused and shouted out that he had hurt himself. But the prince replied that it was all right and not to worry about it. Lucian could heal his wounds. Whether he had the ability or not, you can't take it lightly. Annie should have put him down, saying the day would come when she'd need it, and she found it. It was a band-aid. Even small wounds need careful care. And in case of infection, the princess put a band-aid around her fiancé's neck and then walked away from him, apologizing for her tactlessness. She's not what they say she is. I've heard she's a very outspoken person. He must have heard that the Marquis's daughter has a bad temper, even if no one says she knows. Because it's true, if the real Farania was sitting in front of Lucian right now, and not her. She looked at him with a look full of contempt. But it's not like that now, because she's a committed pacifist and a good citizen who feels sorry for the other protagonist who's going insane. Rumors are just provocative stories created by people who have nothing better to do than talk. It's completely different from what they say. It's not even 360 degrees different. It's all of one. 440 degrees right. Let him apologize. He really was wrong. He shouldn't smile like that. It's bad for her heart. It's not like the cruel smile he had on his face recently. Can't control her heartbeat. It's for the best. She can feel him gradually opening up to her. The chance of being killed by the distraught second protagonist is reduced by 0.01% thinks it sounds something like this. The previous awkward atmosphere faded away, and the conversation with Lucian continued much more casually. And now that they were more or less relaxed, don't get or her to the point. He had already heard that their engagement ceremony would be held at her house in 2 weeks. Of course he has. It's been 2 years since they've been engaged, but they haven't had the ceremony yet, because Lucian spent all that time at war. As soon as victory was declared, my father set a date for the engagement ceremony. He's doing his best to prepare. It's also the first formal banquet he'll attend since the war was won. whether he was cursed by a demon or not. Lucian remains the Empire's most famous knight, and since he's the centerpiece of the ceremony, naturally many people will want to attend. Father has given everything to decorate the banquet hall and sent invitations to all the powerful men of the Empire. They say all the most powerful aristocrats and saints will attend. It's all over their faces. Estelle can't know his tender feelings. That's what love is. She doesn't like the fact that for fear of revealing his feelings, he keeps avoiding Estelle. If Lucian had expressed them a little, maybe he wouldn't have gone mad. So she decided to help him. And since the saint will be present at the ceremony, they can ask her for a blessing dance. The blessing dance. It's literally a dance of the saint. And since it's not a direct use of the saint's powers, like healing wounds, Estelle will easily dance with the bride and groom in turn, and that will be her goal. He doesn't mind. He has deliberately avoided meeting Estelle until now, but now he has no choice but to meet her. They'll meet, they'll look at each other, hold each other's hands, and feel each other's warmth. Then Estelle will understand what feelings Lucian has been keeping from her. If all goes well, they might connect, and whether that changes the original story. But even if it doesn't, she can earn extra points for Lucian's affection. That's a terrific plan, Lucian replied, that it will be difficult. Then Ferrania thought for sure. Does he want to miss out on a great opportunity? In fact, he really likes the saint. He thinks so. But no way will he say the thing is, he can't dance, joking or something. He's really serious. She didn't expect that at all, because it wasn't in the original. The prince who popped out of the fairy tale is a handsome man who can't dance. But if you think about it, it makes sense. Lucian was an orphan for 12 years. He lived on the battlefield. He rarely attended banquets, so he couldn't learn to dance. Why did he become so sullen and her hard-earned 0.01% disposition evaporates quickly? He has nothing to apologize for. If there's anything a man is good at, there's also something he can't do. In war, he destroys enemies with his death dance. Right. Even if he's not so good at receptions, what is she talking about? More like sarcasm than comfort. She'll teach him how to dance. She has to dance at the ceremony anyway, and to start looking for a dance teacher now is a little inappropriate. We'll move in that direction, and until Lucian's feeling changes, he isn't so rude as to refuse his bride's sincere intentions after all. Fish bite. She was so tired the girl was greeted by her father asking her, how was their meeting with Lord Lucian? The first meeting is always somewhat awkward. He understands her perfectly well when they first met his mother. It was exactly the same thing. Because of the awkward atmosphere, there was a constant dryness in his mouth. He drank 5 cups of tea, and looking at this, her mother asked if he was ill. Perhaps she thought it worth breaking off the engagement if he was ill. Her father, the Marquis of Lilac, is a rare chatterbox, but she's not going to stand still and listen to his speeches. Her legs just won't hold her. That's right, they had a nice talk. Father asked if he was well. No matter how brave the knight is, he's been on the battlefield so long. She'll go to her room. Don't forget, for the sake of the family, she has to get Lucian. It's ridiculous. The Marchesa family business is bankrupt. All that's left of it is the name. And Lucian is a hero of the Empire, with a bright future favored by the Emperor. So Ferrania was betrothed to a man she despised. The problem is, even after the betrothal, Ferrania made no secret of her contempt. And it made her father nervous. He was afraid Lucien would get fed up and break off the engagement to his arrogant daughter. But the father doesn't have to worry about that anymore, because before he breaks their engagement, she will. She's thought of everything, and Lucian won't want to marry a girl to whom he's been forcibly betrothed. So his relationship with Estelle must be nurtured. Ferrania's asked Annie to bring writing materials. A letter for Lucian asking him to dance with her. Wouldn't that sound strange, since they don't know each other? But she's an acquaintance of Lucian Khan at least, so she'll listen. And the other tomorrow, she'll come to the mansion for a visit from those who want to dance with her. Her fiancé Ferrania sounds like emphasizing that she's his fiancé. She will arrive tomorrow on a visit to the mansion from those who wish to dance with him. Her friend Ferrania. Let Annie make sure he receives the letter today. The territory Lucian received from the Emperor after winning the war is far to the north, so when he is in the capital, he stays at the mansion. After all, he is a knight favored by the Emperor himself. She has nothing to fear, although it was a sloping path for a while. But she is also the daughter of a high-ranking marquis, also a beauty. She thought she'd be met by the butler, so she wasn't careful. But this is something else. The atmosphere around him is not what it was at their last meeting. For her to be so weak in front of second protagonists, and even more so in front of handsome men, it's too harsh. In fact, he's not used to wearing suits at all. They constrict movement, but if she's uncomfortable, he can go change. It's not like that. She thought she was going to get a nosebleed. She likes the way he looks. Now he seemed to think she was strange. Such a big mansion and hardly any servants. Even the ones who work here have dispersed. He can't dance at all. He can only cheer. They don't have to learn a sick dance. It'll be a simple waltz. It's not difficult, unless he wants to be a dancing king in social circles. You have to face each other. She even chose heeled shoes, but you still have to lift your head up high to look him in the eye, and then meet his eyes. Bright red eyes like rubies, and how can people say such beautiful eyes are cursed? She needs to stare at him so intently. He's a little uncomfortable with her gaze, but the basis of dancing is eye contact. So it's a must. Let him get over it. Now let him take her hand. Even through the gloves, you can feel how rough his hands are. She'll teach him step by step. It's a bit difficult, but don't let him worry. Lord Lucian is one of the most powerful men in society. It's foolish of her to say so. It's true. Though Ferrania was rude, she knew how a noble lady should behave, though she was mistaken in her arrogance. It's the right foot that goes first, not the left. When he turns, he must return to the first position. How did he get so far away? A few days later. The music continues to play. After when the dance is over, it is awkward. Lucian has no sense of rhythm at all. He is kind of a log. He's never danced before and doesn't know how to do it better. In the end, it's not for him. So they have to finish. Didn't she say she was going to finish the class with him? She offered to teach him to dance, so it's up to her to decide when the class is over, and right now she's not going to stop. With that amazing body moving like a broken wind-up doll. They can't review the engagement party because he's her favorite character. Let him come to his senses, back to back and turn at the same time. Every time Lucian makes that U-turn, he finds himself 3 lands away. Asks him not to leave again. As Ferrania turned to turn toward him, she accidentally tripped and fell right into the guy's arms. People are capable of anything. His steps are still out of step and far from rhythm, but the progress is noticeable. Her efforts not in vain. He's doing well. At least it feels like a dance now. Before, it looked like they were summoning a demon king from another world. They've done a great job, isn't he thirsty? Maybe they'll have some tea. Add his juice, that's very nice. How nice to learn a little fact about Lucian that doesn't appear in the novel. Can he ask her a question? Why she's working so hard to help him? He is her fiancé after all. She is not going to listen to people who will say her fiancé is a terrible dancer. Doesn't that sound too corny? Don't get her wrong. She didn't mean to say she's ashamed of Lord Lucian. He understands. Ferrania's his friend. It's about what she wrote in her first letter. Did he like it? Ferrania is the second person to tell him that, so this letter is very important to him. And who was the first Mrs. Estelle? It was the saint who brought him to the capital and helped him become a knight. That's right. There's no need to ask because she knows everything. Estelle, who rescued people from cowards across the empire, brought Lucian, who lived like a beast, to the countryside under Estelle's patronage. Lucian first really saw the world. He learned to speak, write, wield a sword, and socialize with people. Quite naturally, he began to have warm feelings for such a person. If she had been in his place, she thinks she would have loved the saint. The man who saved her from hell, she would have professed her love every minute, every second. She must be joking. If an unreliable man like him confessed, she'd run away without a second thought. Especially a saint. She doubts, unless a saint has eccentric tastes. Does she really think she would do such a thing? Ferrania said one could go mad. Lucian asked what she meant. He doesn't know that. Because a long-time audition, at war. It is now a very popular phrase among the ladies. It is used to express admiration in a positive way. She meant to say that no one would be offended if he confessed his feelings, so let him not run away. She understands perfectly, so just let him do it today. She arrived a little early. She was met by the butler, who said he would show her to the reception room. Lucian is uncomfortable with people, so he wanted as few servants as possible. So Paul was in charge of running the mansion and the servants. He's a loyal servant who's taken on all his master's work, but he has one flaw. He knew the previous Farania. It's written all over his face what this woman is up to. He may not believe her, but she comes to help the Lord Lucian. It's out of the goodness of her heart, so he doesn't have to worry. He can't understand why she's telling him this. He clearly remembers what she said 4 years ago. There's no way he'll admit that a monster born of a commoner and cursed by a demon was knighted. Those are her words, so don't ask him to believe her sincerity. That was in the past, and now she's a big fan of Lucian. Where did he fall asleep? While he was waiting, he was probably practicing all night long. Looking at the progression of his movements during the dance, it is clear that every day after she leaves, Lucian is still practicing for a long time. He wants to look good in Estelle's eyes. If he likes the saint so much, he should be bolder. Whether Estelle will accept his feelings or not is another matter. She just hopes that the feelings he has been hiding for a long time won't drive him crazy. He's finally awake, and how he slept, whether he still wants to sleep, when she comes in. An hour ago, let her forgive him. It's rude of him to greet his guests like that. It's all right. She's seen some beautiful things. He must look disheveled. He'll clean himself up and come back. He doesn't have to look great tonight. While he slept, his hair got a little tangled. It's as soft and fine as a spider's web in the early morning. She's a little jealous she's saying things he's never heard before. Doesn't he feel bad? The day of the engagement ceremony. The maids worked on Farania, saying she looked marvelous, but the girl thought to herself that she wasn't that pretty. They like Sister Annie's style. She'll give her a bonus and a day off any day. She'll be faithful to her for the rest of her life. No one will be able to take their eyes off her. Mr. Lucian will fall in love with her at first sight. She admits that she looks well, but for a man with such a sad, unrequited love as Mr. Lucian, there are no other girls. She was completely caught up in the anxiety of Lucian's worries, so she did her best to cheer him up before the ceremony. Why would red eyes be a sign of a curse? Perhaps if such an eye color is found in an ordinary person, but a beautiful person, not only add to the attractiveness, he is grateful to her for such words, but not as beautiful as she says. Let him look in the mirror for 5 seconds, and after that look out the window at Paul. Let him not be surprised so much she sees the squid too. If he keeps looking at it, he will see Paul again. So don't worry. Now he believes her that he's handsome. She felt sorry for Paul, but it worked for Lucian. After that day, Lucian didn't deny it anymore. She thought he was slowly gaining confidence. Lucian asked her if she was ready. The girl came out to him saying she was ready, and then she saw a beautiful guy in front of her. She opened her mouth in admiration and said he looked great. She tried to dress her best too, but she couldn't outdo him. What is it saying? The guy wanted to say something else, and Farania thought that maybe he would tell her that she was beautiful or lovely. But the prince shouted something that could be crazy. Why had she laughed like that earlier? Because his going crazy was very nice. The Duke of Esteron came too. He doesn't often show up at banquets like this, but their engagement must be an important event, and immediately, caught by his father's chatterbox. It's an engagement forced by her family and His Majesty the Emperor. He didn't intend to marry her in the first place, so don't worry about her. Even if a woman with a baby in her arms shows up during the ceremony and says it's his. She was afraid Lucian wouldn't be able to open up to Estelle because of his sense of responsibility or guilt towards her. But what's wrong with his face? His Highness the Crown Prince of the Empire has arrived. What is he doing here? Crown Prince Calix is the real protagonist of the novel, and he's a dumbass. A dumbass who only realizes how much he loves Estelle after she's gone. That's their protagonist, Calix. A handsome man with tar-black hair and eyes, but a contradictory disposition. Calix approached Lucian, saying that he was not here of his own free will. His parents made him come here. Lucian thanked him for his kindness. The protagonist and the second protagonist, incredible pressure. She welcomes His Highness the Great Crown Prince of the Empire. He has heard of her. The main male character will pay no attention to anyone but the main female character, so treats her like a speck on the garment that she wanted. And he heard that she made a special request to the saint. That's right, because she asked her to do a blessing dance with her and Lord Lucian, right about that time, and Calix is being a jerk. His obsession with Estelle is very apparent. Does he really mean to say that Estelle would be offended that she would dance with Lucian the infantile fool? Why he looked at her like that is scary. Lucian said she dares him to ask him not to look at her with that look. Does he really want to stand up for her? In the novel, Ferrania had no interest in Lucian at all. To think Lucian would say such a thing for her now. 2 weeks of dance lessons have not gone to waste. How dare he speak to him like that? A dog that swore allegiance to the imperial family. She's not going to die right now. Estelle suddenly appeared to greet His Majesty and Lucian, the heroine of this novel and beloved saint. A girl with an unremarkable appearance, but with a wonderful character that wins the hearts of many heroines of this novel and everyone's favorite saint. She is simply an extraordinary, majestic beauty with delicate features and an innocent face that one cannot hate. What were they talking about? How rude of her! She should have said hello to the celebrants first. Grateful to be invited to such a lovely celebration. She's Saint Estelle. She should be the one grateful she accepted her invitation. She's so sweet. It's been a long time since she's seen him. How's he doing? She's still as clumsy as a commoner. He ran away from high school. She's been practicing so hard, but she still looks ridiculous. Next time she'll greet him like a lady. He doesn't mean it. She also congratulates Lucian on his engagement. He's grateful to her. Father greeted all the guests from the bottom of his heart, grateful to them for coming to the engagement ceremony. His beautifully elegant daughters, and Ferrania, and the Empire's greatest knight, the Empire's most trusted man. His Majesty, the Emperor Lord Lucian. This hall has been welcoming guests for 300 years. The first Marquis Lilac and his ancestor Richmond Lilac were married here. It was designed by Leonardo Doyo, a famous architect of the time. He used the finest marble, even after 300 years. Who asked? That's where he'll end his greeting, even if he doesn't ask. It's clear as day what they want to say. The daughter of the noble Marquis is engaged to a commoner. Some will mock her for giving up her pride. Others will pity her for linking her life to a cursed man. Let him relax. Her lessons were not easy. If there's anyone who dares to mock him, she'll tell him off. When they danced, they knew Lady and Ferrania were fine dancers, but this was the first time they had ever seen Lord Lucian dance so well. Plus, he looked so good. Of course, he didn't become the king of the dance floor in 2 weeks of training, but they were able to keep their dignity and last movement. I mean, he remembers not to go too far, let him stay where he is. But, because of all the looks, her character starts to show, and no matter what the villain will do. A supporting character will never shine like the main character, but the main thing is that she is pleased with herself. After all, he was a little bit nervous. A wonderful couple. In fact, Ferrania's birthday, the fortune teller who gave her the name, said a wise thing. Ferrania will save the Empire from crisis, and since Lucian saved the Empire in this long war. That's what a couple bound for heaven means. Let Father stop talking nonsense. He did a great dance thanks to her. Don't flatter her. Their dance was beautiful when they could learn it like that. Her heart was beating like crazy. First mission accomplished. The maid said she'd like to invite her to the next banquet. After a while, the interest in her and Lucian faded, and the banquet hall split into 2 factions. Here everyone crowded around Lucian. How nice to see him in the banquet hall. Let them attend such events more often. There's no need to burden him with such useless things. How will a man who spent his whole life on the battlefield have time for carefree leisure? He is ignored only by the upper aristocracy. Called commoners, but not by the younger generation, it is true that he single-handedly dealt with 100 enemies. It was not 100 but 101, right after all. The atmosphere is different, 180 degrees admirers of the Crown Prince. Despite all the busyness, he showed unimaginable kindness, visiting this place to congratulate the Knight of the Empire. He is just amazing. If it wasn't for the protagonist, he wouldn't think of them as human beings. She'd never be hanging around the protagonist in front of the protagonist. Can't she feel the stares? Can't she feel the boiling inside of her? He's in denial about liking her, so he can't approach her. Estelle doesn't even pretend to notice him. He must be doing it to hide his feelings as long as possible. What a fool. Even for a saint, it's too cruel. To go to such a gala to wear more than a drab dress, for which she accepts the engagement ceremony of the nobility. can't understand what is on the minds of commoners at all. Does she agree at all disagree? Have they heard that recently Saint entered the Crown Prince's room without permission? She said she did it for the cure of Calix. But isn't his peace reckless? Whether it's promiscuity or ignorance, these ladies are out of their minds. Estelle's not the kind of person who gets caught saying that and loses her temper. She's not the problem, it's the infantilization of the main character. And a minor protagonist who could go crazy at any moment. She's not dead yet. She needs to consolidate her position even more quickly, faster than the speed at which she bought tickets to the Adol concerts. She thinks that Saint is a real good person. His Highness is not the kind of person who will tell you that he is not feeling well. That day, even the court physician did not know his well-being, and only Saint noticed it and went to rest His Highness to increase his. What a generous and courageous heart she had, she was not frightened. Even by the threat of the guards the Saint had best. She had never been before, so grateful to have the blood of Papa Chatterton flowing in her. She need not go away so silently. Could she ask Estelle now for the dance of blessing in which she had written in the letter of the, she has nothing to fear. As long as she's around the main character, since she's out, she'll lead the dance no matter how scary the villains are here. How can you say such things to such a marvelous heroine? Did those words hurt her? It's all right. It's not the first time she's heard such things. Estelle's been through every possible hardship. Like any protagonist, she's been persecuted, misunderstood, and drawn into conspiracies. Just because she's a commoner by birth. And yet she's had to put up with it all because she's a saint. Even if she has to listen to it all the time, doesn't mean she shouldn't be offended and put up with it. Just because she's kind. It hurts, and she hates it more and more. That's why she doesn't try to tolerate it. She's the first person who's ever told her that. Where has she heard that phrase before? There's another person to do a dance with. They asked to do a dance with a saint. Have a good time. That's how a father feels when he marries off his daughter. So harmonious. What's Calix doing there? That damn protagonist. How dare he grab his hand? He will take his punishment later. Let him let go of Mistress Estelle's hand. She should have considered that this jealous sucker could intervene at any minute. How could she be so dishonest? She's all right. Let Lucian let go of his hand. It's not true, is it? What nonsense, it can't end like this. Lucian was looking forward to dancing with her. Perhaps she could persuade her to stay. Estelle treasures Lucian. She just gave him such a kind look. His Highness has ordered no one to pass. She has something to tell the saint very urgently. They have orders. Does he know who she is? She's Ferrania, known throughout the Empire for her bad temper. Can she use her wicked past for once? They can't let anyone through. What was it? How much effort he had put into training so that he wouldn't dance like a broken puppet. He had slept so badly that his face had taken on a gray tinge. He didn't want to admit it. Lucian came to her. What should she say to him if he asked why he was like that? How unexpected. She, after all, knew how he felt. It was so obvious that even he realized what she was thinking. Why he said her name with that look on his face. He'd like to know a little more about her too. Would she give him a chance? Annie came in to ask her how she was doing, but then was stunned to see Ferrania, who asked her how her vacation was. What had happened to her? She hadn't taken care of her hair in days. That's what it's become. A supporting villain who'll never get the main character. Not even if she dances naked in a stripped field. She hasn't woken up yet whether she'll braid her hair. She told the other maids to take care of her, which they've been doing all along. Don't let her scold them too much. It's all Lucian's fault. Which means, of course, Ferrania is a beautiful aristocrat. But that doesn't matter. Lucian has Estelle. His first love, and it doesn't look like Lucian's feelings for her will fade so quickly. There's something bothering her. It's not her friend Ferrania, and she's never had any friends, that is a friend of hers. One lady she knows, one man in love with one lady, but no one knows of his feelings because he keeps them carefully hidden. But a woman came along who noticed his feelings. And this man realized it and let her guess what he said about the woman who found out, about what he's hiding. That he'd like to know a little more about her too. He wants to get to know her better. What she thinks that means. Isn't it just flirting? Definitely not. Doesn't know what about the others. But their Lucian isn't like that. If not, maybe it's just like he said. He said no one knew who he was in love with, but suddenly there was the one woman who found out. He's blackmailing the woman who found out his secret. With this, He says he's going to spy on her, so keep her mouth shut or he'll kill her. How is she so smart? She's exaggerating. Now she's sure Annie's right. And the reason is that, in the original, there was an aristocrat who found out about Lucian's secret feelings when he was looking for information about his weaknesses. And for telling her, the saint gave up his life. This shows how much Lucian didn't want his feelings to be known. She doesn't know anything if she were in her shoes, and she thinks she would love the saint. She would like to say no one would be offended if he confessed his feelings, so don't let him run away. What was he thinking? Every time she bullied him into pretending to know everything, ever since she realized she could come to an ending she didn't expect. She locked herself in her room. She didn't want to meet Lucian, but reality was cruel to her. Lord Lucian came, but she said she was sick. If the doctor she went to hadn't said she was faking, Father wouldn't have invited Lucian. How is she feeling? Does she really want to leave her alone with someone who's gonna kill her when he doesn't know who's gonna kill her? If she doesn't mind if he comes out for a moment, and she does, isn't that too rude an answer now? She looks awful, then he'll close his eyes. Here's her plausible excuse. So let him go. Why does he sound so unhappy? It's not like he's standing outside the door looking like an abandoned puppy. Okay, he can come in. Thanks her. Maybe she should just pretend she has amnesia. What would he do then? But the moment he entered the room, all thoughts went out of her head. It's been so long since they've seen each other. He's kidding. He actually closed his eyes to get in. He promised a gift for Lydia, who was sick. So much for pretending to be sick. Pretending to be sick is also sick. He was very worried. He can't really see anything now, but he behaves quite naturally, even with his eyes closed. Thanks to her intuition as a battle-hardened warrior, she couldn't avoid him forever. Then she'll take this opportunity to say what she wants to say. It would be too brazen of her to meddle in his affairs, and that it wouldn't happen again. Had she avoided him that day because of his words, it seemed that his words had come to her dislike. He should have put himself in her place before he spoke. May she forgive him if anyone heard such a thing from him. Of course he wouldn't like it. She'd already said it. There's no woman who doesn't like a handsome man, and Lord Lucian is a handsome man. The same goes for him saying he wants to get to know her better. Let him convince himself. Should avoid other people. He doesn't want him to think that way. Then why didn't she want to see him? She is already engaged to him, and she was a little surprised to hear such words. There's no reason for them to recognize each other, the groom replied. That they have a reason. Then what is that reason? They were betrothed without her and his consent. It was done for the sake of the relationship of His Majesty the Emperor and the Marquis of Lilac. But he wants them to have more than a formal relationship, but a sincere one. That's why he wants to get to know her more unexpectedly, but coming here wouldn't help him get to know her better. What if he saw something unpleasant and didn't want to marry her? Then he could break off the engagement. Of course he could. If things went well, she could survive. He even said he could break the engagement. Let him ask her again if she'll let him get to know her better. What she likes. Nice shiny things. And what she doesn't like. Main characters who are unreservedly cruel to supporting villains. She talks a lot of crap. Let her ignore it. She had no idea he meant it, saying he wanted to learn about her. He actually put down on the sheet that she often talks nonsense. He actually thinks he can find out about her through these questions and answers. Luckily, to some extent, she agrees with him on that. So why don't they end the stupid interview and try a joint endeavor? What is she talking about? She has one hobby. She really enjoys it, sure. Indulge her fantasies a little bit. And this season, such simple black suits are in fashion in social circles. She said she likes nice sparkly things, but he's not like that. In a simple handsome suit with such a shy expression on his face. The black suit suits him very well. She would say he looks like a gracious gentleman with a spirit of decadent beauty in him. She also liked the one blue linen shirt they had tried on with him earlier. The color of the shirt and the blue scarf went perfectly with his white skin. The look came out beautifully, but she liked the riding suit too. After all, such clothes are made for people with a perfect figure. Because when her father wears a riding suit and his belly is covered with a vest, it looks so pathetic. Although he has lost a little weight lately, but his belly is just gorgeous. Very cool. Although her dad kept cutting her pocket money when their income started going down, but the amount she has saved in a couple months is quite decent. Let them pack all the clothes they tried on today. It's not like she's going to give him all those clothes. Exactly that, otherwise. Why would she keep him here for hours on end? He's grateful for her sincerity, but don't be. He has no reason to accept such an expensive gift. She'll say so. She likes to give beautiful people clothes to suit her taste. They'll call it the joy of living. She's asking him so much, then he'll accept. It happened so unexpectedly that he couldn't even thank her well. Will he fulfill another request of hers? When he wants to meet her, let him please come in the clothes given to her. She wants to see him again in those costumes. Lucian happily agreed. He's so sweet. Let him come in his own clothes because she wants to take them off. If she says so, I wonder what kind of face he'll make. What is she thinking with that happy expression on her face? Nothing. She just likes to think about the banquet that's coming up in a few days. But she said the Marquis's carriage is broken. Will it be repaired in time for the banquet? She thinks it'll be a problem. I guess they'll have to rent a carriage. In which case, maybe they should go together. She might think of it as a clothing allowance. She should have bought herself a new necklace and dress and jewelry. It's all out of style. The family's in a bad place right now, and she's talking about being so wasteful. It's not so much an important banquet, just a tea party with noble ladies. That's enough. She's spent all her pocket money on clothes for Lucian. It's time to go. Lord Lucian must be waiting. He really cares for her. The Lord came and said he'd take her to the banquet. That's how kind he is. Kindness isn't enough. It's love. He doesn't dare think such nonsense. What an ominous premonition they're talking about. No one has ever won her heart but him. He thinks it's only when he's young. Youth is a beautiful time. What are they doing here? He said he had a lot of work to do this morning, so he finished early. And when he came home to find Lord Lucian waiting for her, he thought he was bored, so he decided to talk to him. If he was all right, of course he was. Let him forgive her. It took her longer to get ready than she'd hoped. If she'd known, she'd have hurried. She looked good today. Who taught him to be so devious? He didn't. He just told the truth. He's made a mistake again. They should go so they won't be late. You can see the Emperor's carriage. It's stunning. Like a flower with a sword, it suits Lucian very well. That's the taste of money. Is she comfortable in such a carriage? She could ride all year round. Let her settle in. They'll be there soon enough. Lady Ferrania has developed gluteal muscles, and it looks like he wants to record something like that. By the way, he's not wearing the clothes she bought him. Weren't they uncomfortable? He's not wearing them because after he drops her off, he has to go to the training ground. And there's a big risk that the clothes will be damaged, and he didn't want that. It's an expensive gift for him. It's just clothes. That's how it is. She'll be looking forward to the next meeting. She's grateful to him for the ride. Otherwise, she'd be uncomfortable in a rented carriage. They'll see each other later, as if she'd come in a Mercedes. Let her wait a while. The barrette's a little loose. It's all right now, and why her heart is pounding for such a small thing. Let her have a good time. He'll be here on time. What kind of mood is that? A lady who cares more about the commoner saint than the aristocrats. To be in such a place for an engagement ceremony, she didn't think it would be bad for her. She kept wondering why she had made such a sudden change in her behavior. And looking at her today, she seemed to realize the reason. She'd heard that Marquis Lilac had been having financial problems lately. That was the problem. How desperate she was to get the saint's attention. And now she realizes it. Because if the saint doesn't help, how can she cure diseases? If she knows so well and can help her, how can she be so nasty? She can jump on her and grab her by the hair. You have to be patient if the author's plot is going to work. But there's something wrong with them. The real Ferrania would be sitting safely at the center table. Let a fierce battle ensue, even though she doesn't want it to. Why all this fighting at all? Instead of tearing each other apart in the boat, it's better to take care of each other. If she sits quiet as a mouse, they'll forget about her. By the way, Lady and Ferrania came here in Lord Lucian's carriage, and they both seemed quite friendly. No matter how much His Majesty the Emperor cherished this night, and everyone treated him like a commoner, probably for the same reason he keeps a saint. Isn't it because he wants something from them, no matter what their origins? Perhaps poverty is so frightening. What can be done? The only place Lord Lucian spends his money is at the service organizations run by the saint. He's also given everything he earned since winning the war to charities. It's better to just ignore it. Everyone remembers the engagement, His Highness the Crown Prince grabbing the saint by the arm and taking her away, and Lord Lucian, who doesn't talk to other people, always fiddling with her, but that's not all. Everyone knows His Majesty the Emperor has a thing for her. If you think about it, her older brother also, every time he meets a saint, does not take his eyes off her, because Estelle, the protagonist, has an attractive appearance. Does she seduce all the men she meets? What a slutty girl. What's the matter? Why is she standing up? She's lost her appetite, so could she please shut up? Maybe she doesn't realize it yet, but she's not on her side right now. She's talking about her engagement to Duke Garcia. If rumors are spreading that a lady at the tea party got her hair caught in another lady's hair, who's the worse for her or her? If she speaks louder than she should, let her watch her words. If she's a normal lady, she should know at least that. Lucian approached Ferrania, asking if anything had happened at the banquet. The ladies leaving the mansion were very pale, like the faces of soldiers who see monsters on the battlefield. It looks like their makeup is ruined. They'll politely say they didn't see it. Someone's glaring at her. It's annoying at the Imperial Palace because there's a banquet in a month. That's right. The banquet is in honor of His Highness the Crown Prince. That's right, the one in the book. A month from now, at Calix's birthday banquet, there will be an unfortunate incident. A so-called incident of mocking Saint Ferrania and her aristocratic friends mocking Saint Estelle. Calix came too late, and Lucian was avoiding Estelle, so he wasn't at that banquet at all. It's not like he's a competent second protagonist. Did he do what he didn't? Will do in the future. No matter how much she thinks about it, nothing comes of it. The answer is that a conscious lady can handle it. Only a noble lady, they haven't known each other that long, but she thinks they have already established a decent trusting relationship. Does he agree? Thinks so too. So she asks him if he'll lend her some money. What if he doesn't want to? If things go badly? She can steal the money her father has set aside for an emergency. Let her name the amount she doesn't need. He'll take care of everything. First, you have to choose a dress, accessories, shoes and makeup for Estelle. How long will she stay like this? Let him forgive her, she forgot, and there is no way she would cheat him or extort money from him, thus borrowing money. It was her first time. If she needs money, she can ask him. However, she should not borrow money in this way from someone else, ever. Here, 500 zlotys. Shouldn't he ask why she needs so much money? Not to buy a handsome man the clothes she likes, but how he knew. She said it was the joy of her life, right? She's very glad he remembers. Already regretting lending her the money. We should hide it before he changes his mind. With that kind of money, Estelle's gonna knock the noses out of all the aristocrats. The only problem is how she's going to get Estelle to wear the clothes she's bought. If she told Estelle to wear the dress she'd bought her, she'd definitely refuse. She's just a supporting villain who has nothing to do with her. She won't listen to her. How can she convince her? The next morning, Annie asked Ferrania, "Is she going to go alone? Why doesn't she call Mr. Lucian with her? Lately he has been following her, like a duck following a duck." She doesn't want to call him because she's going to meet Estelle. She can't say that. If father hears, all the capitals will know. She doesn't like to make people worry about her. Let them not worry. It's not as hard as she thinks. Let her be careful. She knew, of course, but it's bad enough he looks like a dead fish. Here's the medical center for Estelle's volunteer group. What's her business here? Estelle came out to her asking if it was her. Is she sick? Not at all. She ate a whole pie today. It's good for your health then. What's her business here? She's here for. To work for these unfortunates, wants to help her as a volunteer, not donate money, but work on her own. Money is great, of course, but she'd like to know if it's true that helping with her own hands is the true form of her cause. She doesn't know how long she'll be able to help. She wants to give of herself to help the poor. Nonsense. She's here to fertilize her. Once she gets into it, her care will be gone. At her engagement ceremony, she felt how good a person she is. To help and work up a sweat with Estelle, she thought it would be the most effective way to win her favor. Once they got to know each other better, and it would be easy to get her to wear the dress she had bought, and she was too presumptuous. She was always running to people who were sick with blood or crazy, also forced to help people with urinary problems. What's the level of sophistication for a romance novel? Maybe she should just give up. Estelle doesn't care what she wears to any banquet. Maybe she'll give up because it's hard. Try to hold out a few more days. If she's really tired a lot, it wouldn't be a bad thing if she had enough strength to heal everyone here. How can a person be like that because she's a saint or because she's a protagonist? How can you be so devoted to people? A man arrived who was seriously wounded. We need to get him down quickly. The man took Estelle's hand, asking, "She's a saint, isn't she? Let her heal him with divine power. She's asking her if she doesn't, he'll lose both his legs. She can't use divine power with the priests. They'll do everything in their power to heal him. But God gave her the power to heal men like him. Let them fix it immediately. If he remains a cripple, his family will starve to death. She knows he's desperate. Isn't it too much? Did he leave money for Saint thinks he's totally deluded about something? Fixing his leg is not a duty for Saint. It's a favor. Not something she's obliged to do, but something she did for him. If he can't accept a good intention with a pure heart, let him go. He's a sick man. What can they do? He refuses treatment. Then we must get him out of here now. He needs treatment. He'll wait. Of course he'll wait for the person he needs the most. Did the treatment go well? The bone in one leg was just broken. If it heals well, it'll go back to normal. But the other leg was in too serious a condition, so it had to be amputated. She did the best she could. That's why. Don't let her make that face. Great job. She's grateful to her. Everything she said now, what she said before, gave her the strength. That she had said so much to the patient. She had already said she had too much patience. Being attentive to people is a beautiful thing. But if you take it too seriously, you can get hurt. Especially the holy people will demand more if they are so ungrateful that they don't even want to ask for help properly. She has to put them in their place, like sick nobles or priests. Whoever it is, this is only their second meeting with her. She doesn't know much about her, but she wants to be friends with her, so from now on, they will be friends. A week later, the sick asked Feranius to sing a song for them. Even if you hate dementia, you don't have to hate people. Somehow she got used to it all very quickly. That's how the week went. She was so busy, she didn't have a bite in her mouth they had to eat. Didn't she say she'd attend the Crown Prince's birthday banquet that was coming up? In a few days. That's right. She has already chosen the dress. She will wear the dress she wore at her engagement ceremony. No one would like it if a saint wore a fancy dress. Her reaction can easily be predicted. Words, she just wants to make it pretty. It won't work. That's how hard it would be to pair outfits with her. It's popular among aristocrats nowadays when friends wear dresses of the same color and cut. She wanted to try it with her. But you can't. But it wasn't so important. She didn't want to burden her with lies. Let her burden herself and ask her to take the bait. She thought it would be a good idea, if the dress was inexpensive. She was right to say her dress was a pretty old secret about dressing Estelle in a pretty dress. Of course, that's what couples' dresses are all about. Why she's not going to be in the dress today in this color today, she has other plans. She has no idea how nervous she is. Every time she goes there, when going through all these horrible things means today, there's no going there. She's been volunteering at the flower house for a week, and now that she's made friends with Estelle, there's no point in her going there. She'll go there when she has free time. She knows they care about her, but there are people in the world who have never seen Estelle greet them on their doorstep, but anyone would want to see it again. She's already answered Mr. Lucian. It would be nice to give him some time. He sent her letters every 2 days, so he gave the impression that he was desperate to meet her. If she wasn't busy, could she meet him tomorrow? She can't let him know about her secret meetings with Estelle. She's been reading very long novels lately. Lord Lucian will understand. She'll go. He's been told she can't leave the room because of a very interesting book, but she doesn't seem to be reading it today. Nothing to fear, as long as he's not obsessed with Estelle alone. Lucian is a sane man. He's not going to beat her up for leading him on for days. It's true she has an appointment today, but he arrived unannounced. That means he's worried about borrowed money. He's not that kind of person. They even represented the contracts in the dress tenfold. If she doesn't return it to him, he won't demand. If she insists, she's obliged to buy jewelry for Estelle. So let her not trouble her. He didn't seek her for that reason. Then why is he here? The tea is ready, so let him come in soon. He took out the tea leaves he'd been saving for him. This kind of tea is called Mix Le Cop. He bought it during a trip to another country 6 months ago. It was quite hard to get. It tastes amazing, and if you add a little sugar and milk, it tastes like honey. So he's here to meet his father, not her. An unexpected combination, but talking to her father is a bit tedious. He's not here to return the money or to be friends with the Marquis. He's here because he missed her. What's that she's just heard? They've only been apart for a week. She's never noticed the big difference between just a week and a whole week. What to do? She's happy as if he wanted to say. If Ferrania goes out to play, he's right, but it's hard for her to change today's plans. She has to go. Will she tell him what the meeting is about? They're going shopping with a friend. He's heard she has no friends. In the past, she would have cried at such a fact, not now, because it's not true anymore. Recently, she has a friend who is wonderful. They agreed to eat bread and go shopping and exchange diaries when they meet. It would be great if they could introduce him to this friend too. Asking him to tell her who this person was, their conversation was interrupted by her father asking Lucian why he wasn't passing. Then Ferrania came up with a plan, asking why he shouldn't tell Lord Lucian that story. Today is a great day to listen to her forbidden phrase that anyone who knows her father would never say, but she has no choice here. A love story. Come to think of it, he hasn't told Lord Lucian that story yet. How could he not tell his future son-in-law such an important story? He's getting married, so he should hear the story. Listening to another man's love story would be a great lesson. Where to begin? His love began when he was 5 years old by his nanny who took care of him. If he starts to tell his love story, he'll stop after only 2 days, until he's told everyone the smallest details of everything. Ferrania runs off, apologizing, thinking she has to go because her beloved Estelle is waiting for her. She apologizes for being a little late. How long has Estelle been waiting for her? Not at all, she's fine. Nothing's wrong. She's sorry about Lucian, but it's no big deal. She's just worried if she's wearing her makeup properly. As expected, Mrs. Ferrania looks fine when dressed fashionably, and her fair skin suits the pink ribbon very well. But isn't her face swollen? Last night before going to bed, she was very hungry, so she ate a piece of bread. Not at all, it's the same as usual. And her lips aren't too bright. It's a great color on her. That's it. Compliments between best friends. What kind of dresses she likes, and if she wants to wear it all year round, a silk one is fine. It'll be hot soon, so you can get a cotton one. She doesn't really know about dresses. It's the first time she's bought a dress on her own. 22-year-old lady is buying a dress for the first time. Up until this point have been gifts from priests. Are these village dresses gifts? Damn priests and something else. She has been saving up money, but got very little. I don't know if she can buy a proper dress with such a small amount of money. Don't worry, she knows a dress store with affordable prices, so just let her follow her. Is this the place she was talking about where you can find good dresses at affordable prices at the corner store? Right here, maybe they took a wrong turn. Looking at the mannequin scraps of fabric, it seems they are in the right place. Also, the design looks very strong, and the designer's work is not bad. No matter how much she looks, she can't figure it out. An older woman came out to see them. Greeting them at the Chanel designer clothing store. She owns Chanel. What kind of dress they are looking for? A dress of the highest quality at an affordable price. Can she specify what her budget? 300 gold coins for 2 dresses. It is impossible to find a good dress at that price, unless it's a cheap, shabby one. They're not looking for dresses for His Highness the Crown Prince's birthday banquet. They are, which they obviously don't have a very big budget. But what do they think about it? She'll make a dress for both of them for free, but on one condition. The design of the dress will be completely up to her. They'll just have to wear the finished dress and attend the banquet. But what's in it for her? The publicity at the banquet where all the aristocrats are gathered will spread rumors of 2 beautiful ladies in fine dresses. What Estelle thinks about it. Smells like a great opportunity. If she does that, she won't get a penny for her hard work. And she doesn't like it at all. They'll wear her dress and advertise her store. The best payment, she's not sure it's her style anyway. It's a shame. If it's uncomfortable for her, it's okay. It's okay for her to say that. She likes it too. They'll buy the dress. It's a great opportunity for her to save money. It's a great decision. They're definitely not going to regret it because they're paying for it. Chanel will give them nothing but the best. They have no doubt. Holy fish on the hook. The shabby building she and Estelle entered was a Chanel studio, but Chanel's head office is actually in the most fashionable area of the capital. She thought Estelle would never accept her help and buy an expensive dress, so she made a move. She wants to order a dress, but the entire appointment is taken. This expected Chanel is always inundated with orders from aristocrats, so she's not particularly excited about new customers. However, she can't afford to make a dress for a saint. For the first time, hears that there were people Farania knew how to joke. Everyone knows that for every banquet, Saint always wear old-fashioned dresses. Does she really want to order a dress for someone like that? Even if she offered her best efforts. There's no way Saint will wear it, so she'll make Saint make her dress. How can she do that? Believe it or not, it's up to her. She'll bring the Saint to her, get her to order the dress. They have a deal. So how is she going to pay for the order? The payment won't be money. There'll be a deal. She'll make the dress for free. But the design of the Saint's dress will be entirely her decision. Then they make that deal. The flow of customers into the store Chanel's queues were quite natural. She made it look like a coincidence, so her backside is covered if Estelle finds out how popular Chanel is. Of course, like she said, they made the right choice. The designer's very meticulous. She'll go and get her measurements taken too. I can't believe she's crying. What happened when she saw her up close? She realized what a wonderful beauty she is. Smooth white skin without a single blemish. A delicate, fragile body and golden hair that doesn't fall down. Everything about her is completely inspired. She's overflowing with goodwill. Grace, beauty, charm, a design that has it all. She has to make a dress right now. Let her take her measurements too. She doesn't realize how lucky they are to have a 300 gold Chanel dress. It's not luck, it's ingenuity. She must have the same dress as the Saint. That's the point of the whole operation. She'll replicate the quality of fabric materials for the young lady's dress will be closer in comparison to the Saint's dress. Let it be an embarrassment to her if she were to pass to her later with complaints. Of course, let her do her best for Estelle's dress, all measurements taken. When we'll finalize the design sketch of the dress, she will contact them, then hope for a pleasant cooperation. That cafe, which has only recently opened but is already on everyone's lips, had been out for a walk for a long time. Thanks to her, they found such a nice store and saved money. She would like to treat her to a delicious tea and dessert in some cafe. If she doesn't mind, of course, maybe not go to the cafe she would like to visit. It's very beautiful here. As expected, it's a stunning cafe, this cake, just like Lucian's eyes. What kind of cake would she like to eat? Cumulus clouds on a sunny morning after rain. The name suits him very well. It's delicious. Would you like a piece? She doesn't like sweets very much. Don't worry about her. Here comes some interesting brochure. Charismatic crown prince of the Calix Empire, or the beautiful knight Lucian, who wrote only a terrible article. Of course Mr. Calix and she thinks Mr. Lucian, as she thinks who is the better groom of the two of them. Doesn't know she never thought about it. She knows them both, so she can give a more accurate answer as to who she thinks is the better groom. Unconditionally, Lucian. He's handsome, kind, and the strongest knight in the empire. On the other hand, the crown prince, if she marries him, the royal family will be related to her. The emperor's real mother, Calix Empress, died a long time ago, so she has temporarily taken over. She places great importance on hierarchy, not forgiving the slightest mistakes of those below her in status. In the original work, at Calix's birthday banquet, she even kicked Estelle out of the castle, who was laughed at by the aristocrats. That's how she is one of the villains who pursued Estelle. But this time, she can't kick Estelle out because she will appear more beautiful than anyone else in the banquet hall. And today, for the first time, she realized how great it is to spend time with friends and really enjoyed her also something they're meeting. She wants to also walk around happily. What is this creepy feeling whether she had a good time with her friend? He lost his mind. Estelle still hasn't gotten close to the crown prince, right? So, what the hell? Should she run away right now or will he catch her quickly? What should she do? Dad showed up saying the house was a bit dark. He was telling Lord Lucian about how he met Lady Moncel in reading club when she was 16. But suddenly the chandelier broke and they were trying to fix it. Isn't that some kind of joke of fate? Because when the lady confessed her feelings to him, the chandelier broke too. This 16-year-old story, which he tells all day long, involves countless water in a trembling voice in complete darkness. She said it was the first time she'd met a man like him. Looking at how calmly her father Lucian speaks and everything is fine, frowned forehead, slightly pouted cheeks, tightly pressed lips. Is he angry? She needs to apologize to get the contents of his pouty lips out. Let him forgive her. No matter how urgent the need to meet with a friend, she abandoned her fiancé and disappeared. You can't do that. She is a disgusting bride. She doesn't even deserve him to eat with her. She will skip dinner and spend the night, sitting in her chair, looking at the walls and thinking about his behavior. Let him not say so. He came to the Marquis himself. She was fulfilling the promise she made to her only friend. She'd done nothing wrong. He really thinks so, of course, if he thinks so. Where she went today, it was so beautiful that she bought it. Can it open, of course? Incredibly beautiful, right? She was told that the roses on the cake were fresh flowers, and the whipped cream was made with pigments obtained by melting the roses. It's beautiful, but why him this cake? As soon as she saw it, she thought it resembled the color of the Lord's eyes. Lucian, he thanked her very much. It was good that she bought it after that. Farania took the groom's hand and they walked away from her father, who wanted to tell them more story. To apologize for today, she'll take him to the mansion. Let her sit down, there is no need. She must be very tired, not tired at all. She will only ride back and forth in the carriage. It seems they'll be here sooner than she thought, if she doesn't mind. Could she go out with him and walk a little? He'd like to have a little talk with her. She apologizes again for what happened earlier. She didn't know he would listen to her father for so long. She covered the right moment and ran away. It was hard for him to get halfway through the story because he was fascinated by it. It was quite interesting. It was probably the first time he had ever listened to a story in such detail. Of course, it was a bit difficult when he came back to that story. When he was 5 years old, his father had forgotten a lot. She had spent quite a good time with her close friend with whom she wanted to exchange diaries. She sinned. They went to the store and ordered a dress and then some for her. Too bad she left him with her father, but she had a great time. I wonder what kind of person she gets along so well with. Bright, still, and beautiful friend. He thought he was the one shining brightly. I think she just heard something incredibly cute, so she used the money she borrowed from him to make a gift for her friend. She tried on her, it didn't work out. Instead, she ordered a dress for herself. She owes her money. In a little while, there will be a banquet in honor of His Highness's birthday. All her hands are a little clenched. But it is bound to be a magnificent dress. She has gone to the best designer. Beautiful. She will look beautiful in a designer dress. So she says she ordered the dress for the Crown Prince's birthday banquet. Why is he angry? He will accompany her to His Highness the Crown Prince's birthday banquet. But why in the original it's a banquet to hear his rival's birthday, and then Estelle will pass by, the sight of which makes his heart break. That's why he didn't go. Besides, if he does, he'll find out that Estelle is the friend she said she didn't mind. Of course she doesn't mind at all. Lazy birthday banquet for His Highness the Crown Prince, being a member of the royal family, but still not, because he couldn't find a woman worthy to be crown princess just by looking at the invitation. And to whom they are addressed, it all becomes clear. In fact, at tonight's banquet, everyone is targeting the investigative prince, respectively. Clothing store in the capital recorded the highest sales ever. As expected, no matter how good it looks, it's just average in it. She'll be as inconspicuous as a mouse. So that's how she saved money. She lowered the quality of the dress. Well, it doesn't fit her at all. This style is because of the modest design of the dress. She can't even put on makeup well. Her charm is how much eyeliner she uses. It looks a little harsh. Maybe she should change into a different dress. It's okay because tonight the main character Estelle, all the supporting villains will keep their mouths shut and Calix will be flirting with Estelle. Lord Lucian's expecting her. It was supposed to be so much fun if it wasn't for Lucian. She's still worried about his reaction when he finds out she's intimate with Estelle, but will Lucian be able to handle a video of a prettier than ever Estelle with Calix? Tonight, he'll lose his head. If she is ready, then they can leave. He put on the clothes she gave him just for today. Shiny and beautiful clothes. He's so damn handsome. What is he doing to her? It looks like he's going to wink and flirt with her. Don't be fooled. Even if he does flirt with someone else, it's with Estelle. Then maybe it's okay to talk about Estelle. She needs to tell him a secret. Honestly, if he remembers her talking about her new friend, it's Mrs. Saint. How will Lucian react if he doesn't believe her? That's how he knew. How did Paul know? He must have seen them walking down the street holding hands. Lord really doesn't mind her hanging out with the girl he's in love with, but she looks different today. He noticed she's changed her style. He thinks it's pretty too. Isn't that better? Is it too bad? That's not the point. It doesn't matter how bad she looks, but to react like that is too much. Such an honest reaction sometimes makes people unhappy. As soon as they entered the room, everyone opened their mouths at their beauty. And after the girls started to approach Lucian, asking if he remembered them, she was at their engagement ceremony. But she came too. Why don't they notice her, even though he's handsome and looks a little aloof? Calix comes up to them asking what he's up to, out of the blue. He came to wish him a happy birthday. He found out the saint was coming. He knew his world revolved around Estelle. No, he's escorting his fiancée. His look as if to say he's here for the banquet. For a woman like that? And the excuses must be believable, even if they are. He's already told him not to look at her like that. Estelle came out to them, and they all opened their mouths at her beauty. It's crazy to see his face. If he knew he showed such a face to people, he would die of shame. The banquet hall was too crowded with people, so she was worried about what to do if she couldn't find her. But she's glad she found me at first sight. Estelle greets His Highness the Prince of the Empire and Lucian too. She looks beautiful today. She looks great in colorful outfits, but a simple dress looks great too. What a feeling. She knows he's angry, but she didn't mean it. She doesn't look like her usual self today. Like she threw away a dress that looked like a piece of rag that she wore to every banquet. She used to be wary of socializing with the imperial family. And but now she seems a bit sarcastic. Finally realizing the reality, simple words are also a kind of skill. She has something to say. They need to find someplace quiet and fast. Lucian followed them, but Estelle stopped him saying she wanted to talk to the mistress alone. Let him not follow them. She was surprised at the sudden dragging her away. She is a little uncomfortable being in public places. She has a gift for her. Does she like it? Of course, he's totally her type. But why she decided to give her a gift she knows she's doing for the dress for her. At first, she didn't notice it. But she only noticed after she saw Mrs. Chanel in a ready-made dress in the store that she decided to wear matching her dress to her detriment. So she asked Mrs. Chanel to find a hairpin that would go well with her dress. It's too little compared to the attention she gave her, but she wants to repay her at least a little. As expected, it's incredibly beautiful. She never would have thought it would be. There will come a moment when she will be delighted with the protagonist. Grateful to her, will gladly accept her. But don't let her apologize. Don't thank her anymore. She just wanted to see how Mistress Estelle would look in her best dress. The girls came up to them and said they heard a rustle and thought a rat had gotten in. But it turned out to be the two of them. Today, she finally saw, with her own eyes, how close they are. For the young Marquise, whose marital status was falling to the lowest commoner's position, fit perfectly. He had managed to find the right pair of dresses. Really, up to this point, there was no villain more annoying than Erica the Empress. With this opponent they were bound to face sooner or later anyway. After that, they went to the banquet hall. And there she is, like a mother-in-law in the family conglomerate. From the dorama in The Convenient Empress did not approve of Estelle, because Estelle would be very spacious going in and out of the Emperor's castle, as if it were her own house. Just like in the original, there is no Lucian or Calix here, but it can't be helped. Ferrania and the Marquise family greet the noble Empress Mother. Saint Estelle greet the noble Empress Mother. Among those present here is a man who cannot congratulate the Crown Prince of the Empire. If everything is as in the original, even if the date is too whether to dress so carelessly, she is now insulting the imperial family. Everything will be all right tonight. She will not be able to say a word to Estelle. She is very pleased to look at Ferranie, what she has heard of the Marquise's difficulties. But isn't it too much to wear to a banquet a dress that a proper lady wouldn't wear to a tea party? She insults the imperial family. She's turned against her. But why is she so oblivious to her reputation for socializing with commoners? Estelle is fine, so she decided to pick on her standing next to her. Ferrania's rudeness to others comes back boomerang. Estelle stands up for her, saying her words are too harsh no matter how honorable she is. She doesn't think it's true. She's only judged that way before she was carefully chosen. Something went wrong. If she admits her mistake and apologizes, if she doesn't apologize, she'll be very upset. Estelle has always shown everyone her humble, malleable side, and people forget one important fact: she realizes her power. A noble creature who can harness almighty divine power. And a church with many priests, people following her. Making Estelle suffer is the same as making them all feel bad. She can make even the Empress listen to the saint, but realized she might have been tactless. If she feels insulted, she feels sorry for the protagonist's friend, Laurel. The next time she meets, she hopes very much to wear a dress more agreeable to her. Let her forgive her for she was hurt, it doesn't matter. Grateful that she stood up for her very gladly. She thought Lucian and Calix would be jealous. She's not afraid now that she's her best friend. What does he think about taking Mistress Estelle home? He doesn't know. Mistress Estelle doesn't like carriage rides. Don't worry, they told her that his men with your emperor want to see her, so she's going to see him. So, let them leave first, then they'll see each other later. This kind of silence is a bit pressuring. If he wants to tell her what it is, let him speak and don't be shy. She'll listen to him. Throughout the banquet, she was talking to the missus, so that's the reason. He didn't even know she had a nickname. She's his fiancée and they've known each other for a long time, but she calls her Nia.